Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello, everybody. So today I'm super excited. We have Angela Tipton, which she is a business and finance mentor helping purpose-driven people create resilience and income streams. She's a mindset coach who blends practical money systems with belief, rewiring for lasting change, which is how important is that? We're going to really dive into that one today. A health advocate whose journey with Crohn's disease reshaped her definition of success and sustainability. And of course, she is a believer in unlimited possibility, teaching that freedom is a repeatable process, not a lucky break, which I absolutely love. So with that said, Angela, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, well, first off, Mike, thank you for having me here. Really excited to speak with your audience today. So a little bit about me. I am the founder of a platform called Fire Your Career, which is designed to empower people in their finances and in their careers so they can live life on their terms. Ultimately, that is the goal in life. I truly believe the world would be a better place if more people could live life on their terms.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is it's not as hard as you think.
It's nice.
I know, and you're going to share some tips and tricks. So before we really dive into that, can you just tell us a little bit more about, kind of your original shift with your health journey and that kind of thing? So I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me start really in the beginning with my diagnosis, because it really did shape a lot of my journey and the choices I made in my career and with my finances. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 19 years old, though I experienced years of symptoms before then. I was about 15 or 16 or so when I started experiencing symptoms. And it was one of those things that I really struggled with when I received a diagnosis. It was a bit of relief for me, but also I had this giant weight on my shoulders as well, realizing that I would have to work through this. I would have to find a way with living with this disorder for the rest of my life. And it really has shaped a lot of my career journey and the choices I made about my finances and so on. Now, that said, I definitely made my share of mistakes, like we all do. We all have our journeys, but I worked through my career and made a few pivots in my career as well to really shift into something that I was really satisfied with, that gave me a lot of life satisfaction and felt so much more fulfilled in my life. And early on, I struggled with things like student debt. I had immense student debt after I graduated. I had over $100,000 in debt. And it was just one of those things that was weighing me down, and it made it such a struggle to just make the month-to-month work. And I knew that there was a way that I could live better, or I wanted to find a way to live better. So I made some pretty focused choices in my career that allowed me to see different income gains and do different things. And I also created a plan alongside my husband to really pay off our debt and get a handle on our finances so that we could really grow and do more with our incomes. And it really did empower me to do different things with my life. I had so much more life satisfaction, and I started getting excited about helping others do the same, because really it doesn't have to be a matter of winning the lottery. You don't have to gain this huge inheritance. I certainly didn't have any of those things, but I put together a really focused plan to just intentionally month by month pay off my bills, to do what I wanted to do with my career. And I was able to achieve really, to me, a profound level of success that I was very satisfied with. And again, I truly believe that the world would be a better place if more people could do that and live life on their terms. So I aim to empower people and provide them with those tools so that they can do some of the same sort of thing that I did.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And it's so needed. Has been forever, but I would say even more so now. in today's reality, so can we jump back 2 steps? So because I think it's really important, and we were talking a little bit, obviously before we went on the show, when you go back to your journey, when Crohn's disease, you were diagnosed and you were struggling, and of course all the bills and all the different things. What was it that said, I'm not going to do this. I am going to win, if you will. Can we talk about that just for a second? And we're going to get deep into mindset if we can.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So I did. I'd had a few moments of where I was just sitting here thinking, this is just not working for me. The first one for me really is, I remember I was either a freshman or a sophomore in college, and it started dawning on me, this reality of the student loans that I was taking on. I think, initially you get into college and you tell yourself the story of, hey, I'll figure out a way to pay it off. But I was living in upstate New York at the time. I was really struggling with my illness at the time. I was trying different treatments, some that were only kind of working, some that weren't working at all. And I just thought, I can't live this in a way anymore. I feel really sick. I feel really awful. I don't like what I'm doing. I'm not really happy with what I'm doing. And I thought, I just had this dawning moment of, wait, I don't have to do this. I can do something else. I can make a change. And yeah, I was only 19, 20 at the time, roughly around that age. So I just thought, I'm going to try to do something different. And I did. I continued working with my doctor to finally get onto a treatment that did help. So that was a big hurdle in itself. But then the other thing I did is I thought, I'm kind of done with living in New York. I'm tired of these New York winters. I always felt sickest in the winter time when it was cold. And I thought, I want to do something else. So I started looking at other schools, other colleges, because it was still important to me to continue my college education.
Right.
And I ended up finding a different college that I ended up going to out in Oregon, but I applied to different schools actually all around the country. So that for me was that first moment of, I don't need to live this way. Why am I doing this to myself?
Right.
To some degree, I couldn't control what was going on with my illness, but there were things that I could control. I could control where I lived, what I was doing for my education, and so on.
Yeah, I love that. And I got a chill. So, the cool thing is that most people at 19 years old are just not even paying attention, right? They're just going and in college, and I'm not trying to do a stigma here, but partying, and they're just, they're just in those years that you're not really thinking about necessarily. I have a choice. What? I
Right.
can make a change. What? And it's in my power to do that. And whether you're 19 or 59, it's still the same. You still have those powers to make those choices. So I really love the way you talked about that. And the chill is because if you didn't do that back then and didn't have that aha moment, how life would be different now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I would say for me, that was kind of the blessing and the curse it was Crohn's, is it made me really analyze my life in a way that I don't think I otherwise would have. And it made
Yeah.
me reflect on where I was at, what I was doing, the life choices I was making. And I just got tired of feeling sick and tired. I wanted to live differently. So yes, Crohn's for me was this push of, I don't have to live this way. Why am I doing this? And I know that looks like different things for different people. It could be a different illness. It could be maybe a financial struggle, losing a loved one. I know that many of us have experienced something like that. But for me, that was Crohn's, that I realized that I don't have to do this and I want to do something else. And it really did put me on a path that fulfilled me in strange ways. So yes, while Crohn's has been a struggle to live with, it's something I still struggle with to this day. It has been a blessing in its own sense to help me understand that I can live differently. I can make these different choices, and it does fulfill me so much more.
Absolutely. And I just want to point something else out really quick. See the mindset difference of, it's going to control me and I'm a victim, compared to I can take my power back and I can do something about it. I just
Absolutely.
absolutely love the way you just said that. That was absolutely fantastic. So so if we can, so let's talk about, you made the choice, right? You moved, and then you had these realizations of, I can help other people. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So for me, when I was experiencing feeling this sense of empowerment, I in fact, there's a moment that I remember sitting when I was at work one day. I was working as a QC lab manager at the time, and I remember sitting in an office with other people that I worked with, and I remember just looking across the room, seeing these really just tired faces. And I got the sense that no one really wanted to be here. We were at this meeting because we had to be. And I started to realize that, this is actually a really common problem, that we make these choices, we end up where we're at for whatever reason. And then for whatever reason, we think that we're stuck with that. And I realized that, this is a very common problem. A lot of people are stuck, or they feel like they're stuck at this 9 to 5 that is really not fulfilling them, or they feel like they're stuck with this debt that is just making them feel really burdened. And I started to realize that, I'd made some different choices, and I felt really empowered with the mindset that I'd taken on and the choices I made. And there was a reason why many others didn't feel that they had that same sense, or they didn't have that same sort of control. So that's when I started thinking, okay, well, first of all, why do people think this? And is there a reason for it? And is there something I can do about it? And that's really where I started to get excited. And I thought, there's something I can do here. There's a need here that people have to help them feel empowered. And that's really what initially inspired me to start my website at Fire Your Career. Is I really wanted to empower those people and show them that you have a choice. You can make these different choices in your life. And at the time, I was working as a QC lab manager with a Fortune 500 company. By all basic definitions, I was successful in my career, yet I eventually did make a choice to pivot away from that. And I had family members that questioned that and couldn't understand why I would want to pivot away from a successful career. But at the time, I knew that the better choice for me was to do that. But yet there were still many other people that felt that they couldn't do that or wouldn't do that for various reasons. Maybe it was their family. Maybe it was that they just got stuck into this career and they thought that they didn't have any other choices. But so that's what I aim to do with my platform, is really give people that choice, or show them that they have a choice, that they can choose differently. And it really does. It makes life so much more satisfying and fulfilling when you do that.
That's fantastic. And, and again, so many people feel stuck in today's world, right? And they don't realize that mindset change. So let's dive into this, because I'm excited about the mindset change, because your thoughts are your reality after all. So let's talk about the mindset, right? You feel stuck. You're miserable in that room, like you're talking about. Nobody wanted to be there. When is it time, in your opinion, when is it your time to say, all right, I'm miserable. It's probably affecting my health. It's probably affecting so many different aspects of my relationships. I mean, all across the board, right? When do I make that change? What's that thing saying, all right, you know what? I'm not happy with what I'm doing, and I'm in control of that.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I don't think that we all have that moment of realization of, I'm not happy. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we realize that, hey, somehow at some point in time, my life just went on autopilot and I just started doing what made sense at the time. And I didn't really put a lot of thought into that. And this is where your mindset can be really, really powerful. And it's really important to, in my opinion, to understand your mindset, because your mindset shapes your choices, whether or not you're aware of it. So if you have some beliefs that are helping you, that's great. They're going to help you get in the right direction. But if you have certain beliefs about things that are hindering you on your way, and you're not aware of that, you're going to start getting trapped. You're going to start getting in your own way in ways you don't even realize. One of the ways I talk about this a lot is with money mindset. Money is one of those things that's kind of a dirty word, right? We want it, but we don't want it. It's kind of dirty. People that have a lot of it are just greedy, that we have a lot of beliefs about money. So I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to, is understanding what your money mindset is. And most of us are going to have some beliefs about money that are probably helping us. One example of one that I have is that I think that I have believed that in order to make money, you have to do something with your life. Money doesn't just come to you. It can, but you have to at least put in a set of systems and beliefs to make that happen. But the other side of that belief is I used to believe, in fact, this is one of those beliefs that will sometimes sneak up on me. I very frequently will catch myself believing that I have to work really, really hard to make money. Now, this is both a good and bad belief because it means I'm very productive. I'm very ambitious. I work hard. I can work harder than sometimes my colleagues might, depending on what the circumstances are. But the other side of that, the kind of dark side of that, is that I, in the past, have worked so hard that I would burn myself out. So that's the dark side of that. And it is one of those things that I'm aware of. Now, that belief has never truly gone away, but I'm aware of it. And I have a set of systems in place to really help counter that, to make myself aware that, oh, I'm having that belief again. This is what I need to do with that. So that's just one example of a money mindset belief, but go ahead.
Can we dive into that deeper? I want to talk about enabling and disabling beliefs, right? So
Absolutely.
enabling is a belief that actually helps you, and a disabling is one that drags you down and takes you away from your goals and those kinds of things. So can you talk about just as far as your mindset? You start talking about it and going into a little more detail. I'd love to hear that detail before we moved on. Just more about the empowering beliefs, if you will, of how you can catch yourself and maybe switch that.
Yeah. So a few things that you can do, and a few examples of things that I have done to help make myself aware of my beliefs. Now, I'm one of those people that I have to really make myself aware of my thoughts and my feelings. I have a tendency to bury them and set them aside and just move on past. So I have to at sometimes overanalyze my own beliefs just to be aware of that I'm having them. So a few things that I do in my life that help is I like to meditate. I also do yoga. I go for runs. Really, I just take a moment to get out of whatever zone I'm in, wherever I am and whatever I'm doing, and just take a breath of fresh air, go for a walk. In my case, I like to go for a run and just reflect on, okay, how am I feeling? I actually have this timer on my phone that goes off 3 times a day where I ask myself, how am I feeling? Am I angry? Am I sad? Am I happy? And when I think through that, I think, okay, I'm happy. But why am I happy? Oh, well, I got to cuddle with my daughter, or, someone shared this great news with me, things like that. So then I can understand, okay, I feel happy because of these things. And then from there, I can dive deeper into my beliefs if I'm in the place to do that. I'm not always, but so what about my daughter makes me happy? Well, I value family. To me, one of my core beliefs is that family is very, very important and that family is a priority. Okay, that's a great belief. That's something that I value, that is lifting me up. But if I'm feeling sad or mad, then I might dive into that. So I'll just come up with an example. I'm mad because, someone cut me off when I was driving down the street. Well, why does that make me mad? Well, I feel like it makes me mad because people should learn to drive better. Well, why does that matter to me? And then all of these things. So it's really, what's not important is what you're doing or that you're copying my model for uncovering your core beliefs, but that you have some sort of a system that works for you. Maybe it's setting an alarm 3 times a day to ask yourself how you're feeling, but maybe it's just taking a trip away or talking to a friend that understands you really well and can really tell you that, hey, you're having this belief, or this isn't like you, or this sounds a lot like you, or whatever that might be. So those can really look like a lot of different things.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so funny because there's times that I will, I'm a neuroencoder, right? So I know tricks and I teach people things, how to default back to your best self. And there's times, and I'm very good at it. I mean, for myself, because everything I teach, I do myself, right? And so there's every once in a while that I'll catch myself, and it's been, I don't know, 5 minutes. It's like, why are you still pissed off? And you just, and I laugh at, and I'll do this to myself. I literally will say, because I still want to be. And then I'll immediately get myself out of it. But I literally will catch myself. It's like, this is such a choice. And you can totally switch it in like literally a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And you still want to be there just because you want to be in that emotion for whatever reason. So I think it's just funny that the things you brought up, it brought me right to that of, yeah, like when you're driving, why am I mad at this person? Does it really matter? Is it going to matter in 6 minutes, 6 days, 6 years? No.
And the thing that you brought up is framing. I think that's really important too, is to frame it in the context of, okay, is this going to matter to me in 10 minutes? No, I'm probably going to forget about it and I'll feel just fine. But sometimes that answer is, yes, I just want to feel angry for whatever reason. And I think it's important to give yourself that grace of feeling that. So, sometimes I just have to feel angry. I'm one of those people that I'm really good at bottling up those emotions, but I do that for long enough, eventually that bottle is going to erupt. So if I give myself the grace to feel those emotions at times that, okay, I'm just going to feel angry for the next 10 minutes or whatever it is, then that means I'm not bottling that up and that's not going to erupt at some other time that's inopportune. So it's finding that balance. It's okay to feel those things. Those things are very natural. We're only human. But yeah, you want to balance that with the rest of your life needs, right? You don't want to just bottle it up and then erupt in not ideal moments.
Absolutely. And I want to go the other side of that sadness. People feel down. It's a natural thing we go through. It's just how long do you stay there? How long do you choose to stay there? Because you should lean into your feelings. They're there for a reason. Just don't, the mind is very good at tricking us to protect us, right?
Absolutely.
Is that emotion, is that feeling real? Is that true? And sometimes, like you were saying before, take a minute and ask yourself some questions. Is this really true? Because sometimes, our mind probably 90% of the time is telling us things or thinking things to protect us from, the pain pleasure principle that I'm not going to get into now because we don't have enough time, but look it up. It's really important how we make choices as human beings. And I know we talked about it before on the show, so please check that out. So we've got about 7-ish minutes left. So I really want to dive into financial mindset and money, because I can't tell you how many times I run into this, and I work with people as well on it, where they get so stuck on the financial mindset that needs to be broke. Because if you're so focused on the negative side of it, you're never going to see the positive and move forward from it. So let's talk about that, can we? Give me some amazing thoughts there.
Absolutely. So yes, this gets into, again, your money mindset, where and everyone has a set of systems and beliefs that they have that can be positive and negative. So it is, in my opinion, very, very important to explore your own mindset and beliefs, especially when you're looking at your finances as they relate to money. So ask yourself, get curious about, how do I feel about money? Do I feel like I have a little? Do I feel like I have enough? Do I feel like it's scarce? What are some of those things that I have about money? Because you might surprise yourself as you start to get curious and ask yourself those questions. The beliefs that you might have might be getting in your own way. For instance, I'm going to come up with another example. If you are one of those people that is afraid of investing, maybe you haven't done what you wanted to do for your retirement, a 401k, whatever it is, or maybe you're afraid of investing in the stock market. Is it because you are risk averse? Is it because you believe that putting that money is only fueling corporations and you think that corporations are greedy or that they have too much? I'm not judging anyone's beliefs. It doesn't matter what you believe, but what does matter is that you understand what you believe so that you can then work backwards and understand that, okay, I have this belief, and this means that I'm not investing in my future, or I'm not saving for this, or maybe I feel like I need to live at my means because it's really important that I impress my siblings or my parents or whoever. If you're living at your means, you're not going to have money to invest. And maybe it's important to your family for whatever reason to keep up with the Joneses, but is that really helping you? It's an important question that you need to ask yourself, because continuing to live at or even above your means is going to keep you in this trap. It's going to make it hard to pay off debt, to invest for the future, to retire earlier, whatever your financial goals are. So it is super important to understand what those core beliefs you have about money.
Yeah, and I think it ties very deeply into what your meaning of success is, right? Is it the $5 million house and the $150,000 truck or whatever? I don't know.
Right.
Or is your success spending time with family on family
Yeah.
vacations and that, or is it just being secure and not worrying about if I can put food on the table tomorrow? So I think everybody has such different success patterns or thoughts of what their definitions, I guess is really the word I should say, including myself. And here's the amazing thing, guys, it changes.
It does.
My idea of success from 5 years ago is way different than it is today.
It's funny how that happens.
It is. It's funny how life happens and things change. And really what's important to you changes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not necessarily about taking over the world, or is it? That's only up to you. So can we talk about that a little bit? As far as setting, how do I say this? Because I want to give people some thoughts and tips, here at the end of setting you up for success, whatever that means to you. So what are some things that you teach people to figure out what that success means to them, first of all, and then how to align with some simple strategies to accomplish it?
I think this is a really core question and super, super important. And this is something that I emphasize quite a bit on my platform as well. But one of the first things that I really stress is it's really important to get clear on your vision for the future. Now, there are all sorts of tools that you can use to get clear on your vision. One of my personal favorites is I love using a vision board or a dream board. My family has one. So there we put all of our hopes and dreams and goals for the future, anything from financial pieces to experience pieces to what we want for our relationships and family, you name it. Anything can go up on that board, and we don't filter ourselves. We start with anything, even if it seems like a grand crazy dream. This is where you really want to dream big so that you get clear on what your vision for the future is. Now, that doesn't mean that you pursue every single goal every year and that you're working towards that. You get really intentional about that and choose maybe one or two that you can focus on for that year. And that's where I really like to do goal planning. I love to use the SMART goal framework myself. It's something I've used throughout years to really help maintain my accountability and make sure that I'm making the progress I want to make on my goals. And you get really intentional about, like I said, one or two. You don't want to do all of them. That'll be way too many. But get clear on what you want to focus on your vision board, narrow down that field of view and start making an intentional plan to start working towards that. So you start with the goal plan, the SMART goals from your vision board, and then you break them down into smaller steps from there. So for instance, if you want to have, I'm just going to make another one up. If it's important to you that you have that security, maybe your goal is you have a 6 month emergency fund in case some unexpected expenses come up. So maybe that, then you break that down. You have 6 month savings. Maybe you can only put an extra $50 a month into that savings. You do that 1 month, you do that the next month, or maybe you increase it to $100 or whatever that next number is. You just do it step by step, and we outline those steps piece by piece to make them really easy to advance on each step of the way.
Absolutely love you say that. And I want to add to that is, does it feel better to just do that $50 compared to saying, oh, I should have, or I could have, or whatever the case may be? Try that in your body. Literally do it and see how it feels to say, I did it, check, done, compared to, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go, I don't know, buy a bottle of tequila. I don't know, whatever. Instead, it feels amazing. And when you do it, celebrate it, because your brain releases all kinds of oxytocin and all kinds of great chemicals that makes your mind say, I want more of that. How do I get more of that? And so you automatically start creating new neural pathways and trigger points to help yourself remember and do it in the future. Sorry, a little neuron coding. I couldn't help myself.
That's great. And to your point, I want to back up just a little bit to say that everyone's vision for the future looks a little bit different. And your vision, again, to your point, your vision for today probably looks different than it did 5 years ago. I can certainly tell you my vision for the future changed drastically when I had children. But it doesn't have to be children. It can be anything. You're not set in stone on the path that you're on today. But if you're really intentional about where you want to go in the future and you start building that action plan and those little steps to get there, you're going to make so much more progress, probably a lot faster than you ever realized. I was able to do that same thing to pay off my student debt, and I paid it off years earlier than I ever expected was even possible. And you can do that with really anything. You just have to get really intentional and focused and clear on that vision for the future.
Absolutely love it. All right, we are beyond time. So with that said, first of all, how do people reach out to you?
Yeah, the best place to reach out to me is through the platform. So fireyourcareer.com, spelled just like it sounds, F-I-R-E, yourcareer.com. I am also on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I also have an email list. You can reach out to me through any of those channels. I love hearing from people. I love to hear about your personal circumstances and what you're struggling with right now. I always aim to empower people wherever they're at. So definitely reach out to me, ask for help, utilize the tools. I'm more than happy to support you where you're at.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And then the last thing is 3 tips to get veterans and their families further faster.
Yeah, so 3 tips. So the first one I will talk about again and emphasize is that vision board. Get clear on what your vision for the future is. It doesn't matter what it looks like. Build that vision board. Don't filter yourself. Get ambitious and excited about your dreams, whatever that looks like. Then is goal setting. Don't be afraid to set an intentional plan to achieve your goals, and get really curious about your core beliefs too. Start to ask yourself these questions. Get curious about why you believe certain things, what you think about those things. Maybe ask yourself, how am I feeling today? Set that timer for 3 times a day or whatever it is that works for you to help you uncover those core beliefs. So that's what I'll leave the audience with.
Absolutely love the brilliance. Thank you so much. And thank you, of course, for being on. I do want to say really quick, the fun thing that I love to do is you do the vision board and then you look at it a year later, or you pull one out that you did 5 years ago and you go, oh, wow, or you put it up where you're exercising, whatever the case may be, and you realize they're actually coming true. It's pretty amazing when you're focused on things, how that happens. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
All right. With that said, time is the most precious resource we have as human beings. Angela, thank you so much for being here and spending some of your life and resources with us. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So with that said, we're out.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.